Okay, today we're going to be drawing boxes and things out of boxes. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to start by dividing our paper into 4 boxes. It looks like a window. Okay? Alright, so we're going to start with just a really basic box. Okay? So later in the year, we might get into linear perspective, but this is what's called intuitive perspective. So we're going to try to make a 3D looking box, but we're not going to use linear perspective rules. We're just going to eyeball it. We're going to use our intuition. Okay? So I want to start by drawing 4. I'm going to make that a little smaller. I'm going to start by drawing 4 dots. Okay? So 2 that are on the same line horizontally, like this. And towards the middle of those, I'm going to draw 2 that are on the same line vertically. Alright? I want the vertical dots to be closer together than the horizontal ones. So I want this to be longer than this. Pretty significantly. Okay. I also want them to be like equally spaced. Yeah.
You can't really see.
Oh. There we go. Easy enough? Alright. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to connect these dots to make a diamond. These 2 lines should be close to parallel. Maybe I'm lying. Maybe they shouldn't. It should make a diamond like this. Alright? So, as I draw, I want to go through phases. Okay? I want to start with my planning phase. During my planning phase, I'm going to sketch lightly. Alright? Just because I'm making plans, they're not all going to be final lines. And then I want to go through my finalization stage. Okay, that's where I draw it. Using darker lines, more confident strokes. And then I want to go through my shading phase. Okay? So that's the way I want to do all of these. So next, I'm going to draw 3 lines going down. One goes from the left dot, one goes from the middle dot, and one goes from the right dot. I want these lines to all be the same length. So the way it should end up is that the bottom of the left one and the right one are higher up than the bottom of the middle one. Okay? Make this a little taller. Use a little more of my space. So now I want to draw the bottom edges of the box. So the bottom edge of the box, this diamond is going to be the top of the box. These 2 surfaces are going to be the sides. I want to draw the bottom edges. So I want the bottom edges to be parallel to the top edges. So this line here, I want a parallel line here. So what that means is these 2 bottom edges are going to make kind of a really wide V shape. Okay? So I want the bottom on this side to be parallel to this edge. So a really wide V shape. Okay? And then I should have a box. So let's think about why we're doing this. I'm going to draw a horizon right here, right? So that's our horizon. Maybe this cube's on a table and that's the edge of the table. Whatever. When I have a horizon, things that are here, like further away from the horizon, are going to be closer to the viewer than things that are up here. Alright? So that's the idea here. This corner is closer to us than this one or this one. And it looks that way because it's lower down. That's why I have angled lines here. Okay? So now I'm going to go back in. I'm going to try to solidify my drawing. I'm going to do kind of bold, confident contour lines. So now that I've planned it and I've gotten my plan down, I'm going to execute my final drawing here. And when you're sketching, when you're doing that first phase, you really only have to do it dark enough so that you can see it. All right? I draw a little darker than I would normally draw, but that's so that it'll show up on the video. All right? I would probably draw so light you wouldn't be able to see it if I was just doing it myself. So next thing we're going to do, this little spike here, do you know what this is? This is our sundial. Our sundial tells us what time it is. Not really. Our sundial tells us which way the shadows are going to go, which way the light source is. So I started drawing sundials for these little demo sketches because I think it's just a really simple way of showing where the light source is coming from. And you can use that to figure out how you're going to shade the rest of your drawing. Okay? So I've got my little spike here. It's just a little spike. And the shadow is behind it and over to the right. So that means in this drawing, my light source is up above my left shoulder. Okay? The longer the shadow is, the lower it means the light source is in the sky. Whereas if I had a very short shadow, it'd be really high up. So just using this little sundial, I can indicate almost everything I want to indicate about my light source. So now we're going to shade the box. So some of you may be old pros at this. Some of you, this may be a new thing. But basically, we're going to think about which surfaces would this light source be hitting most directly. So it looks like it's kind of up this way. I can actually kind of, if I go something flat. Dang. If I can figure out the angle of my light source, if I line up like the tip of my shadow and the tip of my sundial. So my light source is kind of at this angle here, right? So it's probably going to be mostly hitting this surface here, right? So I'm going to make that one as light as possible. I'm just going to leave it totally white. If I've got any shading on it, any miscellaneous stuff, I'm going to erase it because that one's going to be totally light. And then this one, it's also hitting pretty directly. So I'm going to shade this as lightly as I can while still applying a little bit of pigment. And this one, it's not like in the darkest shadow, so I'm going to put like a medium tone on it. As far as shading goes, you can probably with your pencil get like a lot of different tones. But for our purposes, you really only need to be able to do like a really dark, a pretty dark, a medium dark, and a light. And then you have just the paper. So that's like 5 different tones you can use. That's probably enough. So then the last thing I have to add is my cast shadow. So the cast shadow is the shadow that the box casts on the ground. So I want to think about how long this shadow is, and I want to use that to influence how long my cast shadow is. So kind of the relative lengths of this should be similar to this compared to this. So this is like a little bit longer than the box. Okay. Beautiful. And then I can shade that, and that's my cast shadow. Okay, there's my cast shadow. Easy enough? How do you feel? Okay, I'm going to give you a little bit to kind of finish this up. If you need help with it, let me know, and I'll come and see what you're doing and how I can help with it. So at this point, maybe drop down a little bit, and then shade. squish together on the next one? No? Squish those 2 points together on the next one. A little more parallel. Let's get there. Just a little though. You're getting there. Even from the switch. Next time. Down. Alright. Down. Pretty good. All right, so pretty good overall, everybody. Not bad at all. Let me see if I have a box. A box. I used to have such a good box. All right, so let's look at this box. So we see the top of this box, right? We can see it all. As this box turns this way, you can see that these two corners right here and here squish together more and more. Okay? So when we're looking at these sides of the box as the ones we're drawing, these 2 points, this corner and this corner, are pretty squished together. So as you're drawing your first 4 dots, make sure the front corner and the back corner are pretty squished together. Okay? The more we stretch them apart, the more it's going to look like we're looking at the box from above, and it gets kind of wonky eventually. All right, so the next thing we're going to draw, here, I'll show you. Next, we're going to draw an open box. This is like a cardboard box that you could draw a cat inside later if you want. So basically, we're drawing the inside of the box, so it's not going to have the top on it, and we're also just adding these flaps, so it should be a pretty easy step up, okay? So, let's start again by drawing our diamond. And again, so left corner, right corner, top corner, bottom corner. Top corner, bottom corner want to be pretty close together. Okay? So a lot closer together than left corner and right corner. There we go. Now we're going to connect them to make a diamond. Should be a pretty squished diamond. So, everybody in here is coming from a different level of skill. So if you feel like this is super easy, I want you to just concentrate on doing a perfect job. Okay? Because the old saying, the devil is in the details, is true. That saying originally was God is in the details, but it was kind of corrupted. It was changed to devil is in the details as like a sarcastic retort. But really, like a lot of what makes art really amazing is being able to do the simplest things perfectly. So there's definitely room for everybody to practice on this. I've done it so many times. But I still find it like really valuable and useful to kind of practice just controlling the hand, just shading as smoothly as possible, just trying to do everything as perfectly as possible. So this is our planning stage, so I'm actually going to draw some lines here that are eventually going to be overlapped. So I don't want to draw them so darkly that I'm not going to be able to erase them. One thing to think about when you draw, I say to draw like you're drawing on a baby. Gentle, okay? If you draw with a pointed instrument and you put a lot of force into it, it will actually dig a little groove into your paper, and that can make it really hard to erase. And even if you are able to get all of the graphite out of the little groove you dig, there's a good chance the groove's still going to be there and you'll even be able to see the groove. So we want to be gentle during this planning stage, all right? We want to draw and erase like we're drawing on a baby. Why would you do that? That's such a weird thing to do, but that's what we want to do. That's how we want to do it. All right, so this box doesn't have a top, so that means we're going to be able to see the back edge. So we've got the left edge, the middle edge, the front edge. and the right edge here. We're also going to draw the back edge in. So just go straight down until it runs into the front of the box. And now we're going to draw the flaps. So the flaps can kind of go off in any direction. The important thing here is that I want this edge of the flap and this edge of the flap here to be parallel. And I want this edge to be parallel to the top edge here. So that's a pretty good flap. And if your flap doesn't end up good, don't be afraid to kind of redraw the line, to erase it. If you're drawing really gently, just kind of sketching it, it shouldn't be a big deal. I don't like the angle on that one. I'll make it a little sharper. So another line wherever I want to put it. And then over here, a parallel line. And then connect them with the line that's parallel to this edge here. So we need to keep those parallel lines in mind, right? A box is made out of a bunch of parallel lines. All right, this flap, I need it to be coming up a little bit or flat, just because if it goes down, it's going to be kind of hard to draw. It's a little more challenging than I want to expose you to right now. So I'm going to kind of draw this one just coming up a little bit, kind of like this. And I need another parallel line here. Something like that. Similar thing over here. There's our open box. So now I can come back in. I'm actually using a darker pencil for this step. I'll kind of introduce you to these drawing pencils eventually, and you can use them for your sketch stuff if you want. Especially if you're not in the habit of carrying a wooden pencil around with you. You can use these. So I'm actually going to kind of play around with my lines a little bit and kind of vary how light and dark they are throughout the sort of stroke here. So I'm going to just apply some darkness in random places kind of and see what kind of effect I can get with that. So I don't necessarily need to have consistent lines all around my drawing. I can kind of vary the quality of my lines. And that might make things more interesting. All right. Let's see. Now we're going to shade this. I really like having you shade from your imagination, because I think what that really forces you to do is kind of visualize this object in your brain as a 3D object. I think that's really good exercise for helping you draw and figure out what objects would look like from different angles. All right, so I've kind of got a light source coming from over my right shoulder. It's really low, you can see, from this long shadow. So now I'm going to start my shading. So this side's probably going to be getting some direct light, or pretty direct light. So I'm not going to shade that at all. This one, maybe getting a little less. I might put a little tone on this. And this is one of the places where having a wooden pencil is really nice, because you can kind of shade larger areas by using the side of your graphite. This one's probably going to have a medium shadow on it. This side and this side are facing the same direction, so I'm also going to apply a medium shadow to this side. And a slightly lighter shadow to this black here. Something like that. Maybe a little tone here. Alright, so now I'm going to draw the cast shadows. So I'm probably going to have a cast shadow underneath here.
Screen's gone.
I was supposed to stay awake for an hour. What's going on? I probably need to adjust the screensaver settings. Yeah, they re-imaged my computer, so all my settings are like back to default, and it's not working for me great. But I should have that figured out soon. Okay. So maybe a cast shadow under here. Probably gonna end about here. Something like that. And again. These shadows are probably not going to be perfect. If we actually got a box out and kind of set this up, I bet there'd be a lot of areas where I was messing this up pretty badly. But I think it's like a really good exercise for you to kind of think about that and move these objects around in your brain. So I'm going to have a cast shadow like that coming down from this corner here and then hitting the back of the box. And one under here. Making a little wedge right here. And then maybe just the slimmest line of shadow underneath. And then in the back right here. Something like that. Okay? Does anybody have any questions on this? Let's see how y'all are doing.
In my mind's eye, I don't see what you're doing
Go back to the same angle, right? And this will be getting hit by the light, right?
in your mind's eye. How do you say that? Because you already know yeah, business takes work.
Yeah, probably experience drawing things or life too. All right. Cool. So, good. So, if we think about the way the shadows work, right, there's going to be one side that's most directly hit by light, okay? And then we have a second side. So, let's say this direction is, we'll call this east, right? The sun's rising. So that side's going to be most hit by light. Up is going to be less hit by light. If the light source is at like a 45 degree, then both of these are going to be hit evenly. Does that make sense? And then the sides are going to be medium shaded, and then the back will be really dark. We can't see the back right now, but it'll be really dark, or the west side. All right, so our next one, take a look at it. We're just going to do a little tabletop. So we're going to do a flat box with a tall box sort of as a post, and then a flat box underneath. So we'll start by drawing just a flat box. We're going to make that high up so we have plenty of room. So there's 4 dots. and connect. Oh man, that means my Minecraft maps are gone. Dang it! Oh, APS! Destroyed entire worlds! Monsters! Alright, so we should have our sideways diamond. Should be squished, right? I'm going to draw 3 lines going down. 1, 2, 3. We want them to be the same length. I'm going to connect them with diagonal lines. Should be parallel to the top. Parallel to the top. I know that you want to make these lines flat because it's the bottom. It's on a flat surface. But again, we want them to be, if we want to make this look three-dimensional, we want them to be angled so that they make a wide V. Next, we're going to draw the column going down. So I'm going to offset this a little bit. I'm going to draw a long vertical line. That's going to be the front edge. I'm going to draw a left edge over here and a right edge over here. And then parallel lines, parallel to right here and parallel to right here. Now I'm going to draw the bottom box. So again, I want to put a dot. Actually, I want to move that up a little bit. Dot. 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 4 dots. I want them to be a little bit squished. I'm going to connect them. Like this. Alright? So this middle box, the long tall box, is going to be overlapping the back edge of this. So I want to erase these lines. I should probably erase them now so we don't get confused later. And then I'm going to put lines going down. 1, 2, 3. And connect them. 1, 2. Yeah, so all these lines should be parallel. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These lines should be parallel. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Go back in, add my contour lines. Bold, kind of confident lines, right? Maybe the lines that are closer to me are a little bolder and darker. I'm going to play that line quality a little bit. This idea is what we call atmospheric perspective. What that means is that things that are closer to you are going to tend to have more contrast and detail than things that are far away. Maybe I soften this back edge a little bit. But that atmospheric perspective. There's actually really nothing wrong with me kind of maintaining those sketchy lines as well, as long as they're kind of dark enough to be seen. But if I'm practicing for like inking, this is kind of a good approach. Alright, so what do I do lightly? Oh, I'm going to get funky with this shading. So here's my spike again. I'm going to make it coming from this direction this time. So it's like coming towards me, towards the viewer. Make it long, too. Alright, so that means I'm going to see the dark side of this. So this is all going to be dark side. So all the surfaces that are facing this direction right here are going to be dark. Okay? So this one's going to be dark. This one's going to be dark.
Nice.
This one's going to be dark. And it might be fun to get really dramatic with this and go super dark. I'm not going to do that because it's kind of hurting my wrist. So this side's going to be like medium shadow because this is a side, right? This is half light. So this is full shadow. This is half light. I've got the light source really low down, so maybe it's like the sun coming up here, like sunrise. So this is going to be like maybe 75% light. All right, and then we got to do our cast shadow. So the angle of this shadow here should be the same angle as the cast shadow. All right. We got that. Feeling good.
You got it.
You look so good, you guys. You're getting a lot of contrast in these. I can really like see your drawings from far away, right? And that's an important thing. We want to think, instead of drawing so that your drawings can be seen from the distance you are away, we want to think about making them so that they can be seen from 5 feet, 10 feet, 100 feet, a million feet. We want to make your drawings so they can be seen from space, right? Probably not big enough. All right, looking pretty good. So the next thing we're gonna draw is a little temple kind of. Okay, it's gonna be something like this. It's basically 2 boxes on top of each other. It's okay, we got time still. All right, so we're gonna start with a small box. Okay, so our 4 dots. Again, we want to make this one pretty small. And underneath, we're going to have a bigger box. So we'll put this about halfway down. All right, there's our bigger box. Okay, so we got our 2 diamonds. Now we're going to drop these down. Okay, so this side here needs to come down to this diagonal, and then it needs to go a little further, okay? And that'll make it look like it's in the middle of that box. So same thing over here. It needs to come down until it hits the diagonal, and then go a little further. And then this one needs to go down about the same distance. Then we're going to draw parallel lines. Parallel lines. Oh. I'm going to correct this to make this parallel because my two diamonds were a little bit off. They were not parallel diamonds. And that looks a little better. Then I can erase out this area that's being overlapped now. Then we'll move on to the next box. Left side, middle corner, right corner. Connect them. We're going to do some sets of stairs going up. So these are basically going to be like triangular wedges. So here's how we're going to do that. We're going to start by drawing a straight up and down line, like this. Okay. And then we're going to draw a line parallel to this edge here. So I'm going to trace this edge here to get a feel for that angle. We'll move over here. Draw a parallel line. Parallel to here. And that can go out as far as I want. It just depends how steep I want my stairs to be. Look, it's going over into the other drawing. Uh-oh. And then I'm going to connect this, the end of this line to the end of this line. Like this. And then I'm going to add some width. So I'm going to draw a parallel line over here. And then I want to end it with a line that's parallel to this edge here. Something like that. So then I can erase the things that are overlapped. I can just draw some little lines to make stairs. Okay. I'm going to do another set of stairs over on this side. So same sort of thing. Straight line down. Draw the bottom of the stairs. I want it to be parallel to this line here. Something like that. I'm going to connect the ends of these two lines. Another parallel line. I'm going to draw the stairs on. I'd really get in there and draw some super detailed stairs if I wanted, but I'm just going to draw little lines to make the stairs and erase this overlapped section out. And then I can add some details on here. I can make this look however I want. I'm going to do like a tall archway. Maybe some little windows. Maybe add a little bit of thickness to this archway. I kind of play around with this. Maybe this is the side entrance that's a little bit smaller. Now I'll shade it. So, like the sides that are facing left and up are going to be light. The sides that are facing to the right or back are going to be dark. I can't see any of the sides that are facing back. So I'm just going to have like some medium tones in here for the sides that are facing to the right. So your shading is a good spot for you to practice like your neatness, getting everything as clean as possible. So ideally, if I can shade using the side of my pencil, I'll have some really smooth shading. I also, if possible, want to make all the strokes kind of go the same direction. So think back to when you were maybe coloring when you were younger, or maybe recently. Coloring's a popular activity for folks of all ages nowadays. And think about like doing it neatly so that all the strokes go the same direction. Think about like that punk kid in your class that always accused you of scribbling, and try to do it like super neatly and evenly.
Squash the screen.
Make it as perfect as possible. Right?
The screen's gone.
It happens. All right. And then we have our cast shadow, of course, in the back. All right. So there's our little temple. Something like that. All right, so our next assignment next week is going to be doing a free draw using like these boxes. So I want you to start thinking about that. I think like a really good idea for that would be to make a little city. All right, so I want you to start thinking about your little city and what you're going to do with that, how that's going to work. Well, this kind of angled. This doesn't much matter now.